So my policy right now specifically is if I'm not in a big trade, like something very, very important, then it's just an open door policy for me. They're in. I like it. My son's starting to get interested. He's 9. I'm like, let's go. I can't wait for it. You know, if he's interested, I'll teach him everything that I know about stocks and trading. And
hello everybody, this is Anthony for Investors Underground. We're in beautiful Maine today and I'm joined by a number of great traders. We've got Roland Wolf, we've got Lucci, Tim Grittani, and Nathan Michaud. And in addition to being excellent traders, they're all fathers who were managing trading and responsibilities as parents, husbands. So I'd like to get some thoughts and perspective about what it's like to do all of those things and have so many responsibilities. So I wanted to start, guys, by just asking, how has your trading and your life been different since you became parents? Maybe, Lucci, we could start with you. I think you have the oldest child, so you get dibs on this question.
I just moved her into college, and it's pretty insane. But again, like for me, it was when she was born. Everything was about when she was born. Everything was about the turning points in any man's life, especially if they're younger, which I was a 21-year-old having a kid. It's those turning points in life that drive your trading strategy and your trading decisions, right? So it kind of just breeds an extra layer of accountability on everything that you're doing. Now you kind of can't, you got to stop messing around. And every man, I don't care what age they are or where stage they are, they have to decide that. And it's always pushed by some influences. Some people have a kid, some people have some crazy chaos happening in their life where they need to change something. And for me, it was my daughter. Having my daughter at 21 while I was still in college, I had to step it up. Mm-hmm. I had to step it up. You got no other choice. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Roland, did things change for you, and how so? Once you had, your first child.
I mean, I got into trading because of my kids. So I wasn't trading first and then had children. I just literally got into it to make a little bit of extra side money. That's why I was working a 9 to 5. I went back to school because my soccer career ended. I had a son already, and we were living paycheck to paycheck, me and my wife. And that's kind of what drew me to trading. I had a little bit of money. I put it in Barrett Gold, it was called at the time. It doubled. And that convinced me. I'm like, whoa, I can take my money and do something with it, in other words. So for me, it's been the constant. It's been actually, for me, the entire time, it's kind of been the drive. I didn't get into trading thinking that it would be like a full-time gig like this. But for me, it literally changed the entire trajectory of my life, the trading and the children. Because before I had kids, I was like, everyone knows I played soccer, super high level, and then I traded. But between that, I was super lost. Like, we talk about a man being lost, super lost, down to the depths of homelessness at one point and drug addiction. And I just had a huge gap in my life. After I beat that, took a long time, had my first kid. And that really was just like you said, that's that moment where you either kind of run away or you take responsibility for that human. And that's how I was raised, and it wasn't in me to not do that. So at that point, once my daughter came, once she was on the way, I had a mini panic, because you guys know how expensive kids are. They're not cheap. So I started doing the math, like 2, damn, and that kind of spurred this whole journey. But a lot, kind of like what he spoke about, I think it's also molded my risk tolerances and stuff like that a little bit. I know that had I stumbled across this before my children, I don't know if I would have made it, honestly. I trade so safe personally, and most of my strategies revolve around having low risk. And so in so many ways it molded everything for me, man. And I'm still learning to cope with it. And, I think we all just do our best as dads to spend time with the kids and while also trying to maintain our careers, which is like a totally difficult balance to maintain.
After the fourth, though, it becomes easier, correct?
I guess that one's on me. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
incredible. And Tim and Nate, but Tim, have you noticed that your idea for, risk tolerance or even how you think about trading is different, now that you have children?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, my situation, I was really fortunate that I had a lot of success before my first child was born. I knew that was an opportunity to kind of step back away from the market a bit, and that's how I treated it. Like, I wanted to be more present and less in front of the screens. And it really turned into more of a retirement than I had originally envisioned. But I mean, we've gone through our challenges along the way. I like our first son was super colicky when he was born for the first 3 months of his life, and it turned into a situation where I'd be holding him until 3 in the morning, and then switching spots with my wife while she holds him till 7, and then we both were super sleep deprived. So of course, like, I'm not trading at all during that time. And then got back into the markets a little bit around the time the pandemic started. And when we decided to have our second son, again, it was like, okay, wow, now I don't want to saddle my pregnant wife with full-time care of my son. So like, let's step up and try to help out. And again, get away from the markets a little bit. And I was in a position where I could do that, and very, very fortunate that I could.
Yeah. And Nate, what adaptations did you have to make in order to balance, your...
Still making them this week. It's you learn something new every time, every day. And I don't, there's never been sort of a video like this or kind of mentorship like this. And Sang used to always drop hints like, none of that shit matters, and stuff like that. When I'm still like going after it. And then you get there and you realize it. And it's not even just necessarily having kids, it's actually at a particular age. Because you can get away with a lot. For some period of time, you can say a hi bye, and that's enough. And then at 3, they want a little bit more. And then at 5, it's like, they just want time. They just ask like, hey, can you play? And you want to stop saying no, right? And I do a pretty good job at it, but not enough. And so that's something that, like, upon kind of reflecting, and your priorities immediately change when you have kids, obviously, with risk tolerance a little bit. But at 5, 6, and most recently 7, when she turned 7, it's just a completely different story. And it made me reevaluate the time that I spend, because I just had a conversation with my buddy Ty, and he was saying like that 7 years went by that quick. And when I met Sang, like, his daughter was like 7, and now she's in college, and it doesn't feel like I've known Sang that long, so I know how quick that's gonna go. So yeah, I'm currently in process of trying to figure that out, because running businesses like what we have, I mean, Tim did it the right way. I would have loved to do that, but I didn't put myself in a position to be able to take that step back. And there's just too much going on, and I don't have another like layer of folks that can just take it over tomorrow.
But you started trading better after you had the kids.
That's because that was after Aiden in 2020.
Yeah.
That was May 2020, and then literally just everything went.
But it was
insane.
the market then. You could say it was the market then.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Opportunities and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's just you continually learn it, are learning and reevaluating. And I know where I screwed up. I know where I can be better, and that's what it's about.
Yeah. And would you say that having kids has improved your trading or certain concepts within trading that maybe you didn't think about in the same sort of way before you had kids?
I would say along the same lines of like saying, like, you got to stop screwing around, right? And so I can't take those risky trades anymore. And like, there was some really, really big gains that I had in the prior 3 years on a particular strategy. And looking back, there were times that I went into a circuit halt with 30, 40,000 shares, which was fine, because then it would tank 20 or 30 bucks. But nowadays, they go up the other way, circuit to circuit to circuit. And at any of those times, it could have gone 100, 200, 500, such as a top. And that's probably when top happened. I was fortunate to not be there at all. And I was actually long biased, and I sold about $250 too early. But I knew somebody that literally blew up their entire career. $15 million gone in like 4 minutes.
We all know. a couple of people that got
Yeah,
blown up on that.
and that put everything into perspective, because if that was me and I was trading, and that wasn't a huge position, it was just, all right, I'm gonna wait until the next covers come in. Oh, these guys blew up, I'll wait for that. And then all of a sudden you're somewhere where you never expected to be. And then everything you've built and everything you've worked for 20 years is gone. And that scared the hell out of me. So with that said, risk has been way down and completely revamped, kind of my focus.
Yeah. Do you guys find yourself sort of in the same boat where you're thinking about, what could be, and, if things don't go your way, and trying to maintain your capital in ways that if you were younger, you might not have thought about that scenario of just, risking things and potentially blowing up, because you're just having to think about yourself. It might be just your account that gets drained, whereas now this could be, savings, kids' college fund, things like that.
For me, I think that happened in my trading in the sense that for the last 3 years, I've hardly shorted at all. Because with my long trades, worst case scenario, it goes to zero. I know exactly how much I'm going to lose. I'm not going to wind up in a top situation where it blows me out. And I know there's times I'm distracted, I'll be in a trade and I'll walk away without putting a stop in because I get called away quickly for some reason or other. And I can do that with longs, and also it just kind of forced me to be more selective. The times I decided to come back and trade were times where there was some huge sector popping off. I traded intensely for a week in April when AI stocks were going crazy. I traded intensely for a week or two last year when the Russia-Ukraine war started and all the oil and gas stuff was going nuts. And then sometimes I get sucked in a little bit longer than I should, and I'm like, oh, hey, this trading's great again. This is so fun. And then I start throwing money away, and then I'm like, okay, time to retire again. But yeah, it definitely has reshaped how I approach my risk management, I think.
I'm in the same boat there. I
retirement policy.
I haven't shorted in a long time because that same principle, when I'm long, I'm very controlled. And I know, and again, I play off this premise, especially when I'm trading small cap, that my risk is essentially, it could go to zero. And when I short, and I'm patient and all that good stuff, but when I short, it's like this flip. I turn into a monster. It's really weird. And I'm sure it's something that I could work on. But for me, I just know myself and I get aggressive and I trade more size for some reason, just really aggressively on things I may not be comfortable with. And I've just been squeezed really hard and it scared the shit out of me, to be honest. This is 2 years ago, 40 G's, and I wasn't even supposed to be trading that day, Started with 500 shares, just kind of willy-nilly short on some Chinese stock that definitely shouldn't have been running. But then at the end of that loss, when I cut it at 40K and I look back, it was one of my bread and butter long setups anyways. So I had that kind of thing going on. So it molded a lot, but going back to what Grittani's kind of situation was, I always was kind of, I was talked about it. I'm like, he's so lucky that he was able to get to this spot and then have kids and just fully enjoy and be present for the children and stuff like that. Most people, like you said, are just don't get there at that point. They're don't have that luxury. And it's a lot of the people that ask me questions about fatherhood are like, how did you figure out how to trade and be a dad at the same time? Which I get, that's kind of a really tough scenario. And for me, it goes back to what Nate was talking about. Now that his kids are getting older, now they know when you say no to them. When the kids get older, now they understand that you're not at their baseball game or you're not at their soccer game or you're not at their dance recital. Then it makes a difference. So for me, at least when I was learning, because my kids were so young, I was like, this is the time for me to grind as much as I can. They won't remember this as much, as when they're 7, 8, 9, 10. And that was kind of my motto back in 16, 17 was I can just spend all day doing this right now, and it won't affect them as much. And it worked out really well because I don't miss games now. I don't really miss too much. But we work and we have stuff going on. I still have to battle that thing where they come in and I'm like, do this move, not now. And remember, the beauty is that I'm home and that they can come say hi to me. So my policy right now specifically is if I'm not in a big trade, like something very, very important, then it's just open door policy for me. They're in. I like it. My son's starting to get interested. He's 9. I'm like, let's go. I can't wait for it. If he's interested, I'll teach him everything that I know about stocks and trading. And so, but risk wise, yeah, I don't think about it when I'm trading. I don't think you guys think like, oh, I'm a dad while I'm trading. And
No, but it's a subconscious thing, though.
it's subconscious, correct?
It's a
Yeah, that's
subconscious
true.
thing, without a doubt. Because if there's no catalyst for you to get your shit together, I mean, Grittani was talking about it. You were talking about it.
Yep.
It's just different ways to get your stuff together. Different ways to cut out the bullshit. And different ways of just figuring out yourself, where you just start messing up and you turn into a demon or a monster, as you said.
Right.
And it's just different ways to cut it out, because now you have a reason to do it.
Right.
Versus before, when you're shooting solo, you can do some crazy stuff.
Yeah. Do you guys value time the same sort of way? Time at the screens, time away from the screens. You know, was there a sort of shift in the way that you value, you know, every hour, you know, having something that you have to do versus, you know, the days before kids where you could sit at the screen for 3-4 more hours and it just goes by in a flash?
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the biggest changes that I've made recently is I set an alarm clock, 11:30 a.m., and it'll go off, and then I just reevaluate positions, because more often than not, I would be in that same position until 4 p.m., and it probably didn't change much, or my risk is going up and my edge is going down, and there's no reason to be there, but I'm still on desk. And that's allowed me to get off desk more, either go see the kids or go for a walk and do different things midday, and kind of start to build a habit of that and unlearn everything that's kind of kept me at the desk for 20 years, which has been, it's difficult, but it's baby steps, and, you know, eventually I'll be like Sang and just going to order lunch and not even looking at his positions and hanging around.
I used to do that all the time.
I'll be like, where are you going? I'll be back.
I think for any new parents, especially for the dads, if the first 2 years or 3 years of your kid's life, if you're not there, like if you're not hanging out with them and enjoying that time, you're gonna look back on that shit and there's gonna be some self-hate for it. You know, it's inevitable. It really is inevitable. And that time, it's where they're so like moldy and you can impress upon them so many different things. And you can influence them in so many different ways. And it's so fun to just watch your child enjoy all these moments for the first time in their lives. Because we're never going to get that again. You know what I mean? We're all 40, 35 or whatever. Half of us are jaded about everything, right? We can't even enjoy these moments. And then we look at our kids' faces when they have just a simple moment like eating a piece of grass. And then you go, you know, and you think about your trades and you're just like, none of this shit means anything anyway. So let's just have some fun, you know? Let's just spend some time with them. But if you miss that time, you're going to regret it.
Yeah.
You're going to regret it.
Ed Barry that you just interviewed, he was here this past weekend, and he said something that, like, and I said it in the room today, and like all the dads ended up just dying inside. And it was like, the amount of time that you spend from their birth to 18 is equivalent. No, the time after they leave at 18 is equivalent to 1 year, seeing them for 1 year the rest of their life.
Yeah, wow.
And that's crazy when you think about it. Like, you see them every single day, every single moment now, and then after 18, once they're out of the house, on average, it's equivalent to 1 year for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's nuts.
Yeah, it's incredible, right? And time just flies by. Have you noticed that, you know, maybe when you're not having a great day in the markets, seeing your kid sort of puts it all into perspective, and it's easier to sort of
It's 50-50.
forget that stuff? Or do you
We
find
do our
that
best. We do our best.
Yeah, or do you find that it exacerbates things?
I'll take Roland on this. He's got 4.
Yeah.
He's got
No,
4.
I just, I do my best to separate it. The second, for me in Dallas, at second 3 p.m. hits, man, I do my best to take that fucking hat off, man. I don't know if I can cuss, but I take that hat off if I can, because, and sometimes I'm better than others. You know, if it's a real bad day, it's a bad day. And I still try to remember, they don't care about your day, really. They just want you to see you, and they're happy to see you. And
They don't know that you had.
they don't
They
know.
don't know it. Even if they know you lost $1 million, they don't even understand it. So what are you gonna do? You know what I mean? It's a whole nother life that again is looking for you for engagement, entertainment, and all this kind of stuff, and you have to figure out a way to let it go. Again, sometimes you're good at it. Some days you're just not going to be with it. That's when having a spouse that understands, that can just
totally.
be like, all right,
Yeah,
you
can
go
help.
do whatever you need to do, woosah the shit out, and then you come back.
That's what I like. Usually
and hang
after
with the kids.
good or bad day, like just go for a walk, and I need at least like 20 minutes even. Like just go, and when
Right.
I'm back in the house, I'm good to go. If I
Yeah.
don't get that, I'm
Right.
wired till like
Right.
8 p.m.
Right.
And that's it. Just a little bit of time, and then reset. Good, doesn't matter.
That's us too. That comes with experience too.
Yeah.
It's like I take a big loss. People are like, "Oh my God, how do you feel?" I'm like, "Just give me 5 minutes. Just give me 5 minutes. I'll be
5
good."
minutes.
Yeah, I think that's something a lot of us learn early in our careers with or without kids.
Yep.
Like
Yeah,
agreed.
to kind of separate
Agreed.
market from real life.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And again, like sometimes it's easy, sometimes there are days where, it can be a little bit harder. Like, toddlers aren't logical, and there are times where, if you've had a really stressful day, that can be a little hard to be patient with. But
Yep.
most days, not bad.
Might be a little bit more quick to react on those days.
A little
but-
bit, yeah.
Would you say that you're as ambitious as you were before you had kids? Or are you ambitious in a different sort of way?
I felt just way more ambitious. Going kind of back to my story before the kids, I just didn't have that much self-drive anyways. I didn't know what I would like. I just had lost fire for life because like my purpose, which was soccer for so long, was just gone. And when you spend your whole life doing one thing and putting all your eggs in one basket, I was just wandering really. And then until I had my kids, then I had to find, at least in my head, I had to find some sort of direction. So for me, they were the catalyst to everything in my life that's good at this point. Like I talk about my life before kids as like a whole nother lifetime. Like it's someone different almost to me, at least at this point. And I don't know where I'd be without them, but then I think like, oh, I wonder if I found trading when I was single and young sometimes, like some of my friends, and that wouldn't have been a good thing. I'm happy exactly where I found trading, and I feel like it was all just kind of meant to happen together when it did at that point. So
There you go. That Roland just gave you. Just go have a baby. If you need some motivation and some
I
inspiration,
did not say that.
just go have a baby.
I did not say that.
There you go. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do.
Just one or four?
I mean, start with one.
Well, 2 produced such good results in my life. I figured 4 would be double, but
See? You see? She gives me, just like he said though, she gave me all the inspiration. She gave it all to me. I mean, I'm 21. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. She comes along and now you're like, all right, now there's this responsibility. You can't fight it. Even to this day, she'll be my inspiration. She'll be my sounding board. And when the kids get older, like, a dad-daughter thing is a little bit different. Again, I don't have a son. I've seen plenty of my, family's sons and everything. So I know it's a different relationship. And with her, she has a lot of ambition too. And when you hear your kid having a lot of ambition, you as a father, our role, our only purpose in life in reality is to guide said children on their path towards whatever the hell this ambition is. And if we can do it the way that we all think, because we're traders, how do I put myself in a position where I can be of use to my child as much as possible? So whatever she needs, whatever I can, whatever connections I need to make for her, if we got to start a business, if we got to do this, we got to do that, whatever we got to do.
And I've seen that firsthand. Like she's come into our office.
Yeah.
She's hung around. She's seen that. She's met Mark, which did some of the music stuff because she was into the music, and so they connected. And he was, kind of talking about that. So, I mean, he is doing exactly like I've seen it with my own eyes.
Yeah.
And it's
So
cool to see, and that kind of gave me a little inspiration. Like that's the kind of dad that I want to be. So it was neat.
Tim, inspiration and aspirations still strong after
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because it made the market way less meaningful to me. Just because, you just think about how you're spending your time, and it's like I'm not going to change my kids' future that much if I make some extra money right now. I'm not going to change my family's lifestyle that much if I make a little extra money right now. Like the payoff to those extra hours in front of the screen would not be nearly as beneficial as spending that time with my kids. So if anything, like it's taken my attention away from the market because I just don't feel like it's as important.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you reevaluate. Even like if you're getting into a trade, like you're trading your time for this, and it better be worth it. Otherwise, why are you sitting there? Why are you doing it?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was some quote I heard, like it was like some guy had interviewed a bunch of elderly people who were like, you know, close to their deaths, and like talked about like, oh, like what are your life regrets? And like not one of them had been like, oh, I wish I had worked more. And that always stuck with me.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. The more you trade, you realize, you know, maybe how much time is actually valuable. And I know, Nate, you say this, you know, in the room and elsewhere, but like, are you trading to live, or are you living to trade? You know,
And I think a lot of people don't realize that because of social media and stuff, it's okay just to like, well, Roland, the first thing he said when he started talking, he's like, he's not aggressive. He doesn't like go for the big wins. He's just small, steady, you know, gains add up. And that's okay. Like, you don't always have to hold yourself to a particular level. Like, I had to like pull myself down from always trying to stay at this COVID style market level, because it was starting to, you know, not necessarily go backwards, but I was just wasting time. I'm minimizing every single trade, trying to maximize every single trade, and it wasn't working. So then you have to kind of come through and come to terms with the fact that you no longer need to try to perform. Like, it's about keeping it at this point, keeping your money, and then finding the proper balance. And so that's sort of been my 2023 so far.
And the kids get the full benefit of that. The kids get the full benefit of our evolution.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it's in our best interest all the time to just look at ourselves and be like, how can I be the best for my kid? And the only answer to that is being a better man. There's no other answer to it. There's no book. There's none of that stuff. It's just fix your shit and the kids will have a better life.
And that's beyond trading, man. You know, for me, like, people see some fitness stuff I've been doing lately. It's not to get a six-pack, man. That's not like where that originated from. That was literally because my son and I went fishing. He was 6. We were in Austin, Texas. And I turned around and then I heard a splash. And he had fallen down basically this kind of canal thing into this creek. And he had all his clothes on, boots, and I looked down and obviously just jumped right in. But it was down kind of this long concrete thing and there was no real way out of this creek. And for probably a good 15 minutes, I was clawing my way back up this concrete thing, trying to push him up, with my son saying, hey, we're gonna drown. I go, we're not gonna drown. In the back of my head, I was like, we might drown. But then I'm like, no, we're not gonna drown. You know what I mean? Like, it was that crazy. Yep. I couldn't use my hands for a couple weeks because my hands were just full of moss. My fingernails were green. Moss was all the way to like, and I told myself at that point, I was so out of shape. Like, I need to be able to lift my whole family if I need to. Like, I need to be able to save them. If there's anything, something physical like this ever happens again, I need to be able to grab my son and throw him out of this creek. Seriously, that's what that spawned from, and I've just been working out hard ever since. And
even if those
that's my son. I wouldn't care really if it wasn't for something else. You know what I mean?
Even if those chaotic events don't happen, subconsciously this is how we're wired.
Right.
It's like we're there. We have to be there. That's subconsciously how we're just wired. So obviously things like this happen, it forces you to be better, you know, but there's always that pressure. There's that pressure we put on ourselves.
Yeah. It sort of serves as a catalyst, right? To make you evaluate where you are, what you're capable of doing, what you can be better at.
Yeah. Right.
And I guess sort of as traders as well, that's kind of what you do every day. Where can I be better? What's my weakness, and trying to fix it. And to your credit, Roland, you know, you took a situation that for most people they would just completely freak out, or you know, kind of run from it, and find a way to use it as a catalyst and be better from it.
I think that's fatherhood to me.
Yeah.
In that you become a better problem solver. That's really all it is. You're just solving problems. If you be a good father, in reality, you're just solving problems for the people that you love. And if we can do that better, and if we do that faster, quicker, in more efficient ways, this is what we think about all the time. That's it. And then, in a sense, it helps in our trading, right? Because if you do this stuff in your life, eventually you're going to problem solve in your trading as well.
I mean, my son pretty much came up with the strategy, my bread and butter these days.
There you go.
Yeah, I showed him a chart, told him what daddy does, which is if I buy low and sell high, I make money. And I showed him a chart, and I go, where would you buy this, son? He was 5. This is a couple years ago. Pointed out the bottom of it. I'm like, good idea, dude. Like, let's try to figure this one out. That's pretty much, that literally led to me, not just that. I was trying to get away from him when he was short back in the day. But those couple things, I mean, kids are smart, man.
Yeah.
Kids are smart.
Yeah.
I tell students that all the time. I go, my son knows where to buy it.
Sort of on that note, if your children showed interest in trading, is that something that you would, with open arms, invite them to do? Or would you tell them to run for the hills?
Which
or
kid? No,
undecided. Yeah. Does it matter on the type of personality of the child?
I feel like 10 years from now, we're all going to have like these automated strategies or something like that. We're all going to have like something else where it's just not even going to be a question anymore, but I don't know. I feel like if she wanted to be a trader, I'd be like, yeah, we got to find a different way to do this or something like that. You know what I mean? Because again, like the kids will want the trading, especially when they look at their parents doing this stuff. The kids will want what comes after it, because they get the benefits from it, right? They're not looking at what happens to us every single day. They're not looking at what happens to us, and we don't even show them that, right? Because we don't even want to. I don't want this stress on you. Like, I don't want you to have all these crazy thoughts. So I don't know. What do you think? If Adeline told you she wanted to do this, would you?
She made a good call on one.
Did she?
Yeah.
Shit.
She's 1 for 1.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know. I think with some understanding of like not necessarily just a particular strategy, but like some sort of like she's got to stop at a particular time to like something that doesn't just become all consuming.
Totally.
And
yeah.
I think that's been my biggest issue. Is just it's such a time suck, and it's probably because I also have a business on the side, which that's my own pressures that I put on myself to kind of stay there, which I have to work through. But like as long as there's you show up for the high probability setup and you don't waste your time the rest of the time, then yeah, I'd say go for it. But if it's something where you want to just sit there and click buttons all day, I think there's a lot more fun things to do.
Yeah.
We know our kids better than anybody else too. We're gonna know which ones have the personality for it and which ones should stay the hell away from it. I would imagine.
Yeah.
I would imagine.
How would you?
I mean, yeah, like I said to someone the other day, like I have no idea what the market will look like in 10 years.
Right,
Like
totally.
I agree, it could just be all like algos and AI. So, I mean, I don't know how useful I would be in teaching them, but like I would want to support them. And I think the main thing I would try to impart on them is, find more balance than I did in my early days. That probably would be how I could be most useful. But like I'll want them to pursue whatever interests them. So if it's trading, it's trading, but I'm not going to try to steer them that way or anything like that.
At the end of the day, it's an entrepreneurial spirit. So like if that's what they want to do, then like get after it.
I tell you what, just from hanging out with us alone, our kids already have that mentality.
Yep.
And from that mentality, in and of itself, whether they become traders or not, I personally think they're equipped with the mindset that will help them solve a lot of problems, that will help them figure out any business or any problem. So I personally think it's a great thing, whether they become traders or not. Just the fact that they have our energy, and they listen to how we move and how we talk. I think right then they already have an advantage over everybody. That's what I personally think.
My son's showing interest, and he has a good personality for the game, I think, and good pattern recognition already and stuff like that. My 9-year-old, and I'm just gonna show him some I think it's a good tool just to teach him some basic like economic principles and how the world works and like and that kind of thing about money. You can kind of fit in some other cool lessons, I think, with your kids along the way. It doesn't just have to be like candlesticks and price action and this is level 2, watch this, which would probably be that'd probably be the most entertaining part for them, is just to watch all the, but that's kind of what I'm doing. I'll never push. My sons or daughters want to do anything they want. I'm just support them wherever it's going to be. I'm definitely not going to push them into trading.
From a parental standpoint, what does the ideal trading day look like for all of you guys? And is that different than it was 5, 10 years ago, and certainly before kids?
It's funny, like when they're young, because it's already changed so many times for us. Like right now, both of my kids go to daycare in the mornings from 9 to 1. So like I could be trading mornings full time if I wanted to at this point. And then they both come home and take naps, and I could trade the afternoons if I wanted to, you know, after we get them down for naps. So like right now, there's actually not too much overlap with market hours, but I know that that's also going to shift the older they get. Whereas, you know, when they were younger and they were at home, or when we were in Puerto Rico and didn't have daycare, the ideal probably would have been more like, I really just want to be there for market open on the hottest of days, and then try to just get away from the screen as quickly as I can.
I think that's the key, and that's that 11:30 kind of alarm. Otherwise, it is something that will keep you there. It just sucks you back in every single time. The longer you're on desk, the longer you're going to stay on the desk. I mean, it's just the way it is. You're always something's going to pop up, and you're going to end up staying there.
I never could walk away.
Yeah. So, and the other thing about me, anyway, is I have to take myself out. Like, I have to go for a walk. I have to have other plans. Because if I'm just hanging around the house, then I start, if I'm on the couch, it's like, why am I'm wasting time? I could go and potential opportunity. So I have to literally, you know, take myself out of the situation.
I do the same. I go to the gym, and same as Tim. I mean, when your kids are growing older, it's just always evolving. Now I have like travel baseball for my son. We have like travel dance for my daughter, and things are getting hectic there. And then if it's summer break, you know, that changes things. You got kids at home, but now I've got 2 that go to school and 2 that are at home. It's just always changing.
Yeah. And knowing you have something at 2 p.m., you're making trades based on that. You're not getting into a crappy situation at 1:30, you know, and so it gives you a little bit more structure in that sense too.
I'll offer a different, I mean, again, the kid's 18, she's in college, so it's like my daily duties with her is just making sure I pick up the phone whenever she wants to call and talk to me. But they never leave your brain. They never leave your subconscious. So if like the kid's telling me, yo, I want to do this, and this, I put it on myself to be like, all right, I need to learn X, Y, and Z. I need to spend some time figuring out what she wants to do so I can help in the best way. So it never leaves, you know what I mean? It's always there in your subconscious. And there's good pressures and there's bad pressures. For your kids, it's always a good pressure. It's always a good pressure.
And I wanted to offer a different sort of question here. You guys are all successful. You guys do well in trading. There's a lot of people who are pursuing trading still, and they have a family.
Yeah.
And so, you know, if they're struggling to become profitable as traders, what advice would you give them in terms of, you know, not stop trading, but at what point maybe should they reevaluate pursuing trading? You know, if they're trying to balance too much and they're not seeing consistent profits as traders. You know, would you ever tell anybody, you know, take a break, stop trading for now? Or
what I hear a lot, and again, you know, traders go from anywhere from what, 16 years old to 70 years old. You know what I mean? And so you'll see everybody. But the ones, what I'll see a lot, and again, this is not just with kids, this is with everything, you'll get a lot of the blaming thing. You'll get a lot of the, okay, now I have kids, so I can't spend X, Y, and Z. That's how they'll frame it. That's how you'll hear it. Okay, now I have kids, so I can't spend the time looking at the market, or I can't focus on education, or I can't do X, Y, and Z because of the kid. To wit, I'm always like, that's bullshit. Change the way that you think about this, and you're a trader. Make the time, figure it out. You know what I mean? There's always a solution. There's always a way. So I'll hear that a lot, where they'll blame spouse or blame family or blame the kids for not being able to do X, Y, and Z. And if you get into that kind of thing, it's dangerous, man. So my advice is always the ones that they don't want to hear. It's calm down, be a better person, stop freaking jumping around so much, and everything will work out. They don't want to hear, obviously they don't want to hear that stuff, but
Yeah, I think a lot of people probably follow the wrong kind of path because they get influenced. They fall for all the dangling carrots, and then they're going for these strategies that may not fit what you need as a parent or somebody that's already been kind of established. And I think a lot of people go for the small caps or percentage gainers, or they saw this huge P&L and they try to replicate that on their own, but that's not something that fits your situation right now.
Right.
And I think that's the reevaluation. Not necessarily if you're throwing money after it, after
Yeah.
keeps going away, like that's not worth it. But
Yeah.
I think just reevaluate what strategy you're after, because I think a lot of people look at these young guys and like, oh, if they can do it, I can do it too. But they've got no debt, they've got no responsibility, they've got no kids. They could lose it all and their life doesn't change.
Bingo.
And that's the time to press from 20 to 30. And,
Bingo.
like he made a whole bunch. He had no responsibilities at all. Like go for it.
Yeah.
And now settle in and figure it out. And I think a lot of people just go for it, and it's like you can't. You have to have the screen time to make certain decisions on certain strategies. So you need to find a strategy that works for your situation.
There was a kid that showed up to the Clover event, and I was talking to him, and he said because he was coming from such a grave situation, having the kids and everything, he couldn't lose. And because he couldn't lose, he had to develop a strategy that was so airtight, that was so database, he spent years doing this stuff, so that he cut out all the bullshit and everything that he was doing just so that he wouldn't lose for the family, for the kids. Right. You know what I mean? So you think about stuff like that, that's what the path should look like.
But then I think having perspective too. I mean, it is going to be a little more difficult with kids. You do have, when you're being pulled in different directions.
Yeah.
And so I tell, parents to be patient, just like don't go too crazy. You're not, yes, someone who has more screen time than you and has no responsibilities and stuff, they may be able to get through the learning curve a little bit faster and stuff like that. And, but then there are your advantages. Some of those people overtrade. Some of those people do a bunch of dumb crap all day long. And if you're just really, like what Nate was saying, focusing in on a couple different times a day in a couple of areas where you can make money, it can actually be easier, I think, sometimes. When I'm trading like that, and I know it's one of those markets where I'm shutting it down at like 10 or 11 a.m. anyways, I trade better during that span of time at least.
I mean, just look at your stats and like how many times do you either make 10% more or give back half for the whole day by staying past 11 a.m. And a lot of times you'll probably realize that it's very minimal that you actually uptick, and you probably just give a little bit back.
They'll come to my office and be like, dude, I just had a kid. I need to make $100,000 now. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Right? So you'll get that emotion from having, oh my God, I'm about to have a kid, or I'm about to do this, and I'm about to do that, and you'll see that a lot. And be like, I have to do this now because of the kid.
But then you just see the trading go
down the tubes.
Zero dated option, boom.
And it's kind of anytime we're trading for money, like
down the tubes.
That's the whole driving factor.
Yeah,
for me, if I'm trading money.
Anyone with that attitude is like when I tell them like maybe don't trade right now.
Right.
Yeah. Like you can't have to profit today in order to eat.
Exactly. Yeah.
But they don't want to hear that.
Right.
No.
Right.
That sounds like they're already on tilt at that point, right? Like,
Yeah. I mean, you could also you can simulate the trades until you find a strategy that works for yourself. Like you don't have to have risk to figure it out.
Yeah.
While you have kids, while you have a family, et cetera. You can figure that out for free and then start to apply it 100 shares at a time, 500 shares, 1,000 shares, and things like that. And most people just would rather throw cash at it and lose before they, kind of wake up or educate themselves.
Yeah. I guess my last question would be, if current you, parental trader you, with the responsibilities that you have now, the experience that you have now, could go back and tell yourself something at the start of your trading, is there anything that you would tell yourself, do you think you'd listen to it, in terms of just, the wisdom that comes from having a kid, having more responsibilities than you did way back then?
Just along the lines of what we just talked about, like time. I mean, it's just like that's the biggest thing. Like, you don't need that next trade. There hasn't been probably a vacation that I've gone on that I haven't looked at the market or at least traded once per day. So just actually taking that step back and enjoying some of those times and not always needing to be in the market.
Yeah, I'd echo the same thing. Like, I'd tell myself step away from the desk more. Like, I had a terrible habit. I would just be glued to my desk all day, even if it was really slow, just because of the FOMO of like, oh, well, what if something pops up on scanner? Like, what if an afternoon breakout forms on something? Like, just, I'd come up with any reason to not leave the desk. And I feel like I wasted a lot of time like that. Like, it was a big regret when I was down in Puerto Rico. I would look out my window, there's a pool down there, there's a beach down there, and I'm never going.
I could go in.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so I would definitely have encouraged myself to find more balance.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you spend more time with your kid and you're generally happier, people take this shit way too seriously. One of the kids too, the Clover kids, was like, I'm not gonna have kids until I'm like 36 or 37. And I'm like, dude, have them now.
Yeah.
But we put so much pressure on ourselves and we put so much expectation on what it should look like.
Yep.
On when it should be the right time to do X, Y, and Z. It's like, just chill the fuck out. Sometimes just chill out and don't take it so seriously. Like, if you have more fun with your kid, you're actually gonna trade better. You're gonna just trade better. But we have the way of thinking of, oh my God, I gotta solve X, Y, and Z problem, which, by the way, you just manifested the shit in your head.
Yeah.
The only problem you really have is you have this bundle of joy who knows nothing about anything, and you have this amazing opportunity here that you're looking at as kind of like, I can't spend time because I gotta trade, I gotta make money because how am I gonna pay for formula and all that kind of stuff. The trades are gonna come and go, man. They're gonna come and go. You're gonna make money, you're gonna lose money. If you can get out of that mind state and just be happier, enjoy the time with the kid, and stop taking it all so seriously, you're gonna freaking trade better. I don't know how you could. Would I even listen to myself though? When I'm saying I wouldn't even listen to myself. So
That's true.
what am I gonna say? If you guys don't listen to me, whatever. You'll understand what I'm saying later, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, for me, again, since I started learning after I already had kids, I would go back and tell myself to chill out a little bit, because I had that attitude that, like, exactly what I said, my kids won't remember this time right now, so I can not be as present. But I don't remember a lot of that time from like 2017, where my baby girl, my beautiful baby girl, was a baby.
Yeah.
Like, her first year of life was that year where I was like, I'm not going to do anything but be in the markets all day, every day, podcasts, chat with traders, Nate stuff, all Grittani, trading tickers, everything I had, everything I could see, I was just listening to all day, man.
Yeah.
And
But here's the flip side. Would you have been able to achieve all that if you didn't have that energy, right? That you had to do that for the kids.
Exactly. There's a trade-off. I just wish maybe like an hour a day, just one more hour, because I was just so tunnel vision at the time, and I don't regret that time. It's the best time of my life. It's the hardest I've ever worked at anything in my life for a whole year.
For them, though. For them.
Oh, I wouldn't have done it for myself.
Can you really answer the question, to within that degree, right? Because if there's something that allows us to manifest an energy that we couldn't have manifested before, is it wrong?
Right.
Is it wrong?
That's true.
You know what I mean? Who can sit here and debate these things? So, shit. I think we give this advice because there's so much tension and we had X, Y, and Z. So it's easy for us to say, hey, don't do X, Y, and Z, but shit, man. Could we have manifested all that energy? Could I have manifested all that energy if I didn't have her at such an early age?
Right.
Could I? I don't know. I can't answer the question, So take it in stride, man. Take it in stride.
Oh, I'm not. Yeah, I don't regret anything about the work. Just maybe 1 hour a day. I just feel a slight less connection sometimes, like that weird.
Yep.
I don't know how to explain it.
Yep.
It's weird, but exactly what you said as well. There was no kind of taming that at the time,
Right.
And I take care of her now.
Well, thank you guys so much for chatting with me about this. I think it's really cool to actually have a conversation with traders who are also parents. It's just great insight. So thank you so much.
We hope you enjoyed this interview on the Investors Underground podcast. We have more great interviews that we believe you might also like, so don't forget to subscribe. You'll be notified of upcoming releases the moment they become available. Thanks for watching.